Hey everyone, welcome to Monday. It's your Monday motivation. Today we're going to talk about how to become the greatest of all time. If you've been following ESPN's docu-series, The Last Dance, you will know that this is chronicling the last run of the Chicago Bulls, the 90 Chicago Bulls, towards a championship in 98. And I'm going to rock my official, authentic 90s Chicago Bulls hat for this. So you will witness the greatest of all time, possibly one of the greatest of all time sports franchises in the 90s Bulls. And then we will also witness the greatest of all time, arguably the greatest of all time basketball player in Michael Jordan. And there's this thing about being the greatest that we're almost obsessed over, so much so that we will just go at it and argue, debate who the greatest of all time is. That means something to us for some reason. And while watching the series, I've seen a couple of the episodes. While on the one hand, it's inspiring to think about how I can be, how does watching Michael Jordan excel at his craft push me to become the greatest? It also can be frustrating because what if I don't really meet up to my standard for where I think I should be in my life, especially by a certain point in time, because that's how we are. We're like, oh, we have to have achieved, X thing or things and by a certain point. And if we're not meeting up to that standard, then we feel like we're failing. So I want to encourage you guys out there. There are two things that I thought, helped me, and also I could extend to helping you as well. So one thing is, do not let age limit you. You can achieve your dreams. You can be the greatest of all time in your craft at any age. And one thing that reminded me of this is a children's book, where this is a book that I have read to my daughter, Dream Big Little One, and it highlights the lives of several influential women of color, in history, including, I'm saying hashtag Oprah Winfrey. And one of the ladies featured is Alma Woodsey Thomas, which it says painted her whole life and became a star at 80. Don't let age limit you. What I love about fencing, which is a sport that I started kind of in old age, right? Like in my 30s, is that you can compete and, at an older age. Like, I have seen from the likes of like 7-8-year-olds at the same fencing club as 70-year-olds, and they compete at a high level. So I like fencing because it kind of captures this idea that, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can be the greatest at any age. The second thing I would say takes me back to earlier this year, where we had, this whole coronavirus thing has just swept us up. That's all we read about in the headlines virtually. But before this was Kobe and his very tragic death, along with the others, including his daughter on a helicopter who perished earlier this year. And one of the takeaways I got from just pouring in, just reading about Kobe and his tireless work ethic, I think arguably, if not inarguably, one of the greatest of all time is this idea of Mamba mindset, just being the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. It challenged me to want to pick something, at least one thing each day, that I could say, when I look back on that day, what is something that I could say I did my best at, that I put my best foot forward to. And at first, I had the idea of maybe, it could be translated in the realm of sports. Like, as I just said, I'm involved with fencing. Maybe that's how I'll make sure that when I show up to practice, I'm putting in my, 1,000%. But you know what? It can go beyond that. I started to realize that even bringing my best to my family, being in the moment with my young daughters who are 3 and 1 years old, even being there present for your family, you can be the best and apply that on a daily basis. And I just feel like when we work on something, when we are intentional every day, then we become closer to becoming the greatest of all time. Sure, it may not be on the stage of an NBA championship, or on the stage of the Academy Awards, the Oscars or the Grammys, but even the greatest of all time, because what separates us from anyone else, one of those things is our experiences. Those people who are in our inner circle, there will only be one of us for those people, and we can honor the full potential of who we can be by bringing our best selves forward and being the best for even those people. And even doing that, we become the greatest of all time for those people around us. So I hope that encourages you. I want to go ahead and say a word of prayer, if you don't mind. Before we go, let's pray. Dear God, we thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you for